to airmen of character.
Hello, welcome to another video. In today's video, I'll be talking all things military, specifically Air Force. I had a lot of questions before I joined. I'm just gonna go over some pros and cons real quick. If you're in the middle of making a decision or you just wanna know more about the military lifestyle, if you're interested in that, stay tuned. First off, I joined in August of 2019. I went to basic training, which was 8.5 weeks long at the time. I know it's changed since the whole COVID pandemic. Basic training was at Lackland in Texas. After basic training, I stayed in Texas. I went to Fort Sam Houston. I'm a Fort NO, which is Aerospace Medical Service. I went to Sam Houston for 4 months. That was mainly the school house training where it just felt like high school. You were in school all day. I could talk more about that at a later time. Then after that, I went to Keesler, which is in Mississippi. I was there for 6 weeks doing hands-on training, working in the hospital, doing 12-hour shifts, stuff like that. That was super cool. I got to see a lot there. And now I'm at my duty station. Let's get started. First, I'll talk about the cons, and then we can end the video on a good note. Cons are BMT, 2 months. This could be a pro and a con depending on how you look at it. The pros for in BMT, I didn't have to worry about nothing. I didn't have to worry about paying my bills, didn't have to worry about talking to anybody, didn't have to worry about my social life, nothing. I was just, BMT was all I knew. It was good to just focus on that and really just have time to myself and think about my growth and where my future is going to go. The cons of BMT, 2 months with complete strangers. Trust me, just make like 2 or 3 good friends and you'll be set. I made friends with this other airman there, and her and I like got each other through it. I still talk to her today, and she'll probably be in my life for the rest of time. I'll never forget her and getting me through basic training. Another con is frequent moves. Right now I'm at my first duty station since I got here in May, and it really all depends. I know some people that only spent 2 years at my duty station, and I know other people that have been here for 7 years. So I guess it depends on what you do, if you stay in your job, if you cross-train, stuff like that. But the good thing is moves are all paid for. When I moved to my duty station, we did the move all on our own. This was our first home, so we really didn't have a lot to move. So we were able to just rent a little U-Haul trailer for like $500. We drove it from where I'm from to my duty station. We ended up making money on the move, so if you do it right, you can make money. Another thing that I think is the hardest for me is the family separation. Thank God for FaceTime and planes. It is pretty hard being away from family, but I also have been moved out since I'm 17 and I'm 23 now, so I have been living on my own for a couple of years. I would say the other hard thing along with the family is you can't travel or do things whenever you want, especially during this pandemic. It's been hard for everybody. Another thing is deployments. I've never been on one. We actually have an airman leaving our clinic to go on his first deployment right now. So I'm super excited to hear about his experiences. It's definitely scary, but I hear that you do make good money on deployments. So I think that'd be really nice about going on a deployment. And they can vary. I heard this one master sergeant was telling me about his deployment to Argentina. He was eating steak dinners every night. He had a hotel right on the water. That seems like the type of deployment that I want to go on. Another con is you always have to follow their standards, their rules, their guidelines, and you're pretty much on duty 24/7. Just always being mindful. The other thing is long hours. Luckily in my job, I work in a clinic right now, so I'm really just a Monday through Friday, which is nice because I know I'm guaranteed to work from 7:15 to 4:30, sometimes getting out earlier, and I know right now that I'll always have weekends off, and I do get an hour lunch break in between the day. Another thing that's super hard is you make these close connections and friends, and then they leave so fast. I just got to my clinic in May. I made really good friends with one of the airmen there, and she's already leaving, so I mean, it's good and it's exciting for them to move on to bigger and better things, but also it's just like, this girl who taught me everything is now leaving. You never know if you're gonna see them again. That's super hard. I remember in BMT when I was leaving the good friend that I made, we cried. Like, it's just, you make these connections and everyone's kind of in the same boat, so I feel like the connections are so much stronger, and then you just wake up and they're gone. It's a pro and a con because you're always meeting new people and now always have these connections, but it just sucks when they have to leave. So I know there are probably a lot more cons depending on the person and the way you are. The military is definitely not for everyone. I know plenty of people that already want to get out. You signed a contract, you have to finish it. I don't know if I'll stay in. I might have to change my job if I want to stay in. I don't know if it's just because I'm working in a clinic or what, but anyways, I try to look at the cons and always think of a pro to go alongside it to make it seem like it's really not that bad. So things could be worse, right? Now we'll go ahead and talk about all of the good things. There are a lot of good things. I would say the biggest pro about this whole military experience so far is that I've had a stable job and I've had an income during this whole pandemic, which is super important because before this I was doing jobs such as serving and working with children, jobs that I would not have had amongst the pandemic. During this pandemic, I've gotten married. We've bought a house together. We have our healthcare benefits. Both of our healthcare is free since I'm active duty, and as far as our dental, because that's different than the medical, mine is free, and then I pay, it's like $11 and change for Jason's, which is awesome. I get BAH and I get a food allowance. BAH is a basic housing allowance, so depending on where you're stationed and what area code you're in will depend on how much you're getting. And then I get my food allowance, which is a couple hundred, and then my paycheck will increase with your rank. Right now I'm an E3, and that's because of my college degree. Along with our paychecks, we do get 30 days of leave per year, and it can roll over into the next year, and you can get up to 60 days of leave at a time before it starts like canceling out. We also get holidays paid for, so on top of our 30 days of leave, we get a bunch of holidays. We have Martin Luther King Day tomorrow. Stuff like 4th of July, obviously, Christmas, Thanksgiving, President's Day, like any government related holiday or holiday that we normally celebrate as American people, we pretty much get. Another pro is free education while I'm in the service. We get something called TA assistance. You get $4,500 annually to put towards your schooling for that year, because we do get the GI Bill, but while you're in service, if you go to school, you can use this TA assistance, so you don't have to tap into your GI Bill. I do plan to continue my education. Unfortunately, they won't pay back any of my student loans that I know of, but they will pay to continue it. As soon as I figure out what I want to do, I will do that. You get the VA loan for housing, which we did use to buy our house, and it did help out a lot. One of the best things, you can retire after 20 years in service. I joined at 22, which means I would only be 42 when I go to retire. And that's still super young. You still have all your life to live. And then lastly, I would say the traveling for free is definitely a pro. As much as you're moving around a lot, you are getting to visit all these places at really no expense wherever the military decides to move you. And this concludes my video. I hope you were able to take something good out of this. At the end of the day, I do have a job. Air Force is definitely the best lifestyle and the best branch to be in if you're trying to live the most normal life, I would say. If you have any specific questions or concerns about my job or other things about the Air Force that I did not go over, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to help you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And here's a little very emotional clip of my tap out, my first hug after basic training. Enjoy.
I'm not yet, but I might. Get in there.